In this video, we're going to be talking about fourth species counterpoint. And fourth species counterpoint is very unique because the notes are offset from one another. And depending upon how they're offset and how they, or where the dissonance is, if it's on the weak part of the beat or measure or the strong part of the beat or measure, it defines the type of dissonance that we're going to use. Now, we still have to approach and resolve dissonant notes by stepwise motion, although in this example we are allowed to use it on the strong parts of the beat and measure, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so the easiest way to think about fourth species and the easy way to write fourth species is to start with something in first species. So like right here we have all these descending thirds. Third, 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 third. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to just offset everything by shifting everything ahead one note. So we're going to get rid of this A, and we're going to take this G and we're going to shift it over here. And we're going to tie it over to a G. So we used to have a half note, now we have a half note, and you can think of this as like shifting a half note over here. So instead, it's two quarter notes tied together, but it's basically, the same rhythmic value as a half note. So now we're going to take this A and we're going to move it over here. So this is going to be an A. We're going to tie it to a quarter note A. And we're going to take this G and we're going to shift it over here. So this is going to be a G. And it's going to be tied to a quarter note G. And finally, we're going to take this F sharp and we're going to shift over here. All right, let's listen to what this sounds like. Okay. So you can see that we have a second here. I'm going to make this parenthetical. That's the correct way of indicating dissonance. We have another second here. We have another second here, another second here. They all resolve to a third. They're all on the weak parts of the measure. Beat 2, beat 4, beat 2, beat 4. Okay, because they're on the weak part of the measure, we are going to call these anticipations, because they anticipate what's about to come. They're dissonant, and then they're held over into a resolution. They're dissonant, and then held over to a resolution. So these are anticipations. All right, poof. We used some video editing to get everything back to the way it was. And now we're going to take the same set of thirds that we had, but we're going to shift the notes in the other direction. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep the C here. And we're going to get rid of this one. And we're going to tie this over to another C. Here we have a B. We're going to tie this over to another B. And then an A. Tied to another A. Whoops. And then a G. Tied to another G. Then we're going to end with an F sharp. All right, let's listen to what this sounds like. Okay, so you can see that all the dissonances are now on strong beats, beats 1 and 3. They're all fourths. So I make those parenthetical to show you that they're dissonant, and these are called suspensions. And more specifically, we label our suspension by the interval, and so technically this is called a 4-3 suspension because it's a fourth and it resolves to a third. So the difference between a suspension and an anticipation is that the anticipation happens on the weak part of the beat, and the suspension happens on the strong part of the beat and resolves downward by step. So that's a suspension and anticipations. Those are the two new types of dissonant intervals. So we're not going to do a counterpoint assignment on suspensions or on fourth species because it's kind of boring and it's kind of tedious. So we're just going to skip straight to a mixed species counterpoint, or mixed counterpoint, or sometimes it's called fifth species, sometimes it's called fluid species counterpoint or fluid counterpoint. So we're going to write what's called a canon. I'm going to make an optional video about canons that you can watch, and it'll show you different types of canons. If you want to watch it, that's fine. There's already a lot of content for this week to watch. If you want to learn more about canons and the different types of canons and imitation, you want to learn about Bach's spiral canons and puzzle canons and all of these cool intellectual ways to write music. I'll do a little short video on that. Otherwise, just skip straight to the example video for what you're going to be doing as your composition assignment for week 6, which is going to be a 5-measure canon. You're going to write a canon which is set